as an entrepreneur. You're wearing all the hats and you're trying to grow your business, take care of your family, and somehow also find time for yourself. And if just like me, you've listened to so many successful business owners who shared their tips and tricks with you and still somehow find that you couldn't reach the goals that you set for yourself, then this is for you. Hi, my name is Rosemary. I'm a holistic business coach, homeschooling mama of three. I help women like you create businesses that align with their values, energy, and season of life. And the reason why I'm so passionate about helping women achieve this is because not too long ago, I was juggling my 9 to 5, 40 hours a week, traveling nonstop whilst raising young kids and trying to grow a business without burning out. I was doing everything I thought I had to do. But unfortunately, that led to burnout and not to the success that I was promised. And today I want to share with you how to create sustainable routines that will help you thrive in business and life. Because I know how it feels to be pulled in a million directions. I remember thinking, if this is what it takes to be successful, then I guess I will never be. And what I realized, it wasn't me, but it was a system that was broken. So I want you to understand that hustle doesn't work when you're building a business and life. What I did is I threw all the shoulds and stopped chasing the rigid productivity hacks and started building routines around my real life, which is messy, beautiful, and full. So today I want to invite you into that shift with me. The first thing that I want to share is why traditional routines don't work for most people. Most of the productivity hacks out there or productivity advice is one size fits all. But the thing is, these productivity advice ignore the invisible labor that a lot of women carry, the mental load, the changing seasons, and the fact that energy and focus ebb and flow. Most of all, it doesn't take into account the seasons of life that demand more flexibility. It also doesn't take into account our hormonal cycles and how they affect our energy and focus. So whether you're postpartum, perimenopause, or menopause, this can affect the way you show up and the focus that you have. It also doesn't take into account whether you're caring for young children, elderly parents, or navigating a chronic health condition. One thing it also doesn't take into account, which is very important, is the way that your brain is wired, especially if you're neurodivergent. Because often we're just told to be more disciplined. But what if discipline looks different for you? What if you're doing your best and the system is the one that's broken, not you? So here's what I want you to understand. You are allowed to design a business that honors your brain, your body, and your bandwidth. So let's stop measuring success by how early we wake up and start measuring it by how alive we feel. The next thing I'd like to share a 3-part method for creating a routine that actually feels good and moves your business forward. So the first step of that framework is align. So align meaning start with what matters. So think about what season you're in personally, but also professionally, and see how you can adapt your routines for that. Think about what success actually looks like for you right now in this season of your life and what you can say not now to, because this is where we drop pressure and make decisions from a place of intention and not comparison. Recently, I had to travel for work for a couple of weeks. And although it's only 2 hours different from where I normally live in Europe, I really felt out of sync. And I kept forcing myself to work the same way I was working when I was back home. But I had to analyze, okay, what has shifted here? And by acknowledging that even if it's just 2 hours difference, it is totally normal to shift my focus and my energy. I'm not in my house. I may not have a separate office. The kids are around, husband is around. I have another job that I'm fully present for here. So it's totally normal to be out of sync. So understand that even in moments like this, when you're traveling, it's important to know that little things can change your focus and energy, especially if you're neurodivergent. The next step of the framework is design. So I want you to have a structure that supports and not suffocate you, right? So you want to ditch the 20 task to-do list and focus on your big 3 each week. I have an MIT daily, most important task, and it's limited to 3 maximum, ideally just 1. Because the more things you have on your to-do list, the less likely you are to achieve them and the more overwhelmed you'll be. One thing that also helps me a lot is to have theme days. And so that could be CEO Monday when you do all the strategic thinking and planning long-term things. It could be client work Tuesday, where you focus on all your client work. You have your back-to-back meetings, maybe your admin Thursdays, whatever it is. Make sure that there's a flow so you can focus on what to do each day and that covers all the necessary tasks in your business, but also carve enough time for rest. So for me, that looks like Friday, no work. So whatever it is for you, make sure that as you're planning your week of work, make sure to have intentional time aside for relaxation and for joy. One thing you can do is to batch your tasks based on energy. For instance, creative work when you're feeling fresh and admin when you're on low focus. I like to cycle sync as well, adapting your work based on the moment of your cycle, because this is how you protect your energy and get things done in a way that feels good and that is sustainable. The last part of the framework is flow, having systems that evolve with you. So you want to create a rhythm that flexes when life happens, right? So you don't want to have rigid systems and things in place that actually, as soon as you're out of context, you can't really work with it. You want to use rituals to help you reset. And so it can even be like a 5-minute tea plus intention break that counts, having an intentional morning, whatever it is, you really want to have a specific ritual, something that you do that allows you to flow into the next phase of work. Another thing you want to do, and that helps me a lot, is to have things that support your brain so you're not having to rely on your brain for everything. So it could be whiteboards, sticky notes, Notion, or just your Google Calendar. In my case, my Google Calendar is literally my life. If it's not in my calendar, it is not happening. And yes, have color-coded calendars. So flow really is your secret sauce. It will help you to stay consistent without burning out. I want to share the story of a friend who was struggling, and although she loved the work that she was doing, she found herself overwhelmed, constantly busy, but not necessarily moving the needle. So one thing I did is a business growth audit, which is a free 30-minute session where I sit down with you and look at what the bottlenecks are of your business and I share one thing that can give you more clarity so you can make the next best move for your business. And in her case, her calendar was booked back to back, but not necessarily with things that were going to move the needle in her business. And so one thing we did is look at all the things that she works on and identify the things that she needed to keep on her calendar and the things that she could delegate or remove altogether. By just doing that small exercise, she was able to free up 10 hours from her calendar that she could use to either focus on more strategic work or just rest. So I want you to pause and ask yourself this. What's one thing that you can release in this season? Is it a platform you've told yourself you want to be more consistent in, but actually is not sustainable? Whatever it is, think about one thing that you can release and be totally okay with. Another thing I want you to think about is what would you change if your routine were designed for peace and not pressure? So what are some of the things that you're doing because you think you have to do it versus the things that you really want to do and know that it's going to move your business forward? Because as business owners and entrepreneurs, we're constantly being pulled in different directions. And many of the decisions that we make are not necessarily decisions that are best for our business, but because others are doing it and we feel like we're missing out if we're not doing the same thing. As you're thinking about how you can create sustainable routines, look at where you're doing things out of pressure instead of peace, and let's remove that. Before I go, I want to remind you that you don't need to be more disciplined or push harder. All you need is more space, rhythm, and support. And that's what becoming a balanced CEO is all about. So if you love this, I would love to share with you a free guide that I've created called the Balanced Business Roadmap. That's a step-by-step guide to help you scale your business without overwhelm. It will help you gain clarity on what truly moves the needle in your business, design a strategy that aligns with your goals, energy, and lifestyle, and help you work smarter, not harder, without sacrificing freedom or income. It is totally free for you, so use the link to download your free guide.